Coming this spring from Frontline and American Experience, one of the country's great neglected narratives, the story of one of the most powerful, feared, and misunderstood religions in American history. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is one of the world's fastest growing religions. Contemporary Mormons project pride in their faith and confidence in their future. Mormons walk the corridors of power, leaders in both the House and the Senate, and even running for president. But it was not always so.
In the 19th century, to call someone a Mormon was akin to calling someone a Muslim terrorist.
The story of the Mormons begins with the revelations of Joseph Smith, the man they would come to call their prophet.
A column of light appeared in his room, and then a person came down, very glowing person.
He says he's the angel Moroni. And so he begins to tell Joseph about the Book of Mormon and what his involvement in it would be.
It was the mere presence of the Book of Mormon itself that was a visible, palpable object that served as concrete evidence that God had opened the heavens again.
Thousands of followers were drawn to Joseph Smith and this new American religion.
If you went to meet this new prophet, you ran into a dynamic frontier character who could tell you a joke or share a drink, but more than that, could tell you what God wanted.
But Smith would lead his people into conflict with the rest of America, who saw this as a blasphemous religion.
What outraged the traditional Christians of the day was that this guy comes along and he says, God has restored the office of prophet, and I am the prophet for this new age.
Their neighbors drove them from New York, from Ohio, and from Missouri.
This is a recurring theme for the Latter-day Saint people. Persecution, exodus. Persecution, exodus.
And finally, in Illinois, enraged by the Mormons' theocratic ambitions and rumors of polygamy, Joseph Smith would be killed by an angry mob.
When that mob stormed Carthage jail and shot the prophet Joseph, they thought they were finishing off Mormonism as a movement.
But the Mormons survived. They turned their backs on America and crossed the continent to the Great Salt Lake Basin.
Brigham Young is telling the federal government to back off from the Utah Territory. We will take care of ourselves. President Buchanan declares the Utah Territory in rebellion, and he marches the United States Army to the west to attack the Mormon Empire.
The struggle with the federal government went on for decades, until finally the Mormons agreed to renounce their controversial practice of polygamy and began to rejoin America.
How do you go from being the ultimate outcast to the embodiment of the mainstream in 2 generations? It's a breathtaking transformation.
But entering the mainstream would challenge the Mormon identity. How could they become fully American without losing their distinctive beliefs and their culture?
Prepare to consecrate 2 years of your lives to serve the Lord as a full-time missionary.
It was, for all intents and purposes, mandatory for young men to go on missions. You go, you go, you go. Dad went, Grandpa went.
Your life is utterly controlled. You follow the rules for this 2-year period. There is nothing in contemporary experience of 20-year-olds in America to compare with this.
Mormons draw strength from their strong communities and close-knit families.
The church and my family are so intertwined. It just creates a kind of aura of love and peace. It makes your home a holy place.
But for Mormons who find themselves at odds with the teachings of the church, the loss of family and community ties can be devastating.
Being gay in that culture is beyond hell. That's why when I went to those counselors, I wanted to be cured so badly. I fasted and I prayed and I went through this whole thing. But the bottom line is that I was committing a kind of spiritual suicide.
For those who can pass all the tests of their faith, the spiritual gifts can be powerful.
The temple exists as a kind of vehicle through which we conquer mortality. Not a single atom or particle of our bodies will be lost, but everything will be reconstituted as fully as it was. It's almost a kind of celebration of the totality of triumph over death.
The idea of eternal progression, that men become gods. That is this idea of fertility and growth, so native to American belief and expectation, that Joseph Smith brought together. It is the American dream writ large.
This spring, American Experience and Frontline join forces to explore the history, the controversies, and the mysteries of this very American religion. The Mormons, beginning April 30th on PBS.